Tigers sweep the Royals. I have no clue what's going on, and I absolutely love it. Let's talk about that and more all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Thursday, September 19th, 2024. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Just visit FanDuel.com to get started. And the Detroit Tigers can't lose. I don't know what's happening. I have no clue what's going on. I don't know how we got here. I don't know how this is even possible. I have no idea what's going on, but I'll tell you what, if there is any organization, if there is any fan base in the game of baseball, in the beautiful, beautiful sport of baseball that deserves what is happening right now, it is the city of Detroit and the fans of your Detroit Tigers. The Tigers win 4-2. They sweep the Royals. They are now 80-73. That is an 80-win season for the first time since 2016. They are 8-2 in the team's last 10 ball games on a 4-game win streak and are half a game out of the American League Wildcard. Obviously, they do not own the tiebreaker with the Minnesota Twins, as we've talked about a lot. So, technically, I guess maybe you'd consider it a game and a half out of a true playoff spot. But in terms of your record versus the Twins record, half a game separates the Detroit Tigers and the Minnesota Twins. Fantastic ball game that was. So I had the Tigers game up on my TV, and then I had the Guardians game on my laptop. I never thought in a million years I'd be yelling at my laptop saying, "Go Guards," go Guards. But here we are. Wild times we live in. And the whole city of Detroit is pulling for Cleveland and something. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. This defies logic. This defies anything. This is a ridiculous pace this team is on. They don't lose. They were what, 9 games under 500 at one point? They're in July. They're 7 games over with 9 games remaining. They're beating everybody. They have the best record in baseball since the end of July. That's a large sample. We're almost through September. That's not a small sample size. I don't know. And that's awesome. That's what makes baseball great. That's what makes sports great. That is the best. I love having no idea why the Tigers are doing so well. I would rather never have a clue ever again and have the Tigers go back to being a powerhouse again. They've been a wagon for the better part of a month and a half now. And this is now transcending local news and is very quickly becoming national news. All of the big national media outlets that haven't spoken a word, haven't spoken a second on your Detroit Tigers all season are now all running in front of cameras, running to their mics. And that's not, it sounds like I'm slandering them. I'm not, right? That's just how it works. That's how this industry goes. And they're all talking about your Tigers. And that's sweet. That is awesome. The national media talks about what gets clicks and what gets listens and what gets eyes. right? The Detroit Tigers are getting clicks right now. The Detroit Tigers are getting views. Who would have thought in July? I could not have been more wrong about what the post trade deadline Detroit Tigers were going to look like, and I'm so happy that I was so happy. I've never been happier to be wrong, so wrong. This is amazing, and like I said yesterday, man, no matter what happens, this will always be amazing. If they fall short, it's going to be a gut punch, and we're going to be, man, like that really sucks, and we're going to be heartbroken. But golly, are we going to be pumped for the season that was and for the September that was? So no matter what happens, I'm not trying to be like super corny and be like, no matter what happens, we already won, right? Like I'm not trying to sound like a Disney movie there, but like that's a similar sentiment to how I'm viewing the rest of the year. It's like I am tooth and nail rooting for this the rest of the way, but no matter what happens, this is awesome. And it's completely unexplainable. Let's try to explain the unexplainable. What went right in this ball game? Again, 4-2 victory in Kauffman. The pitching yet again. The pitching in this series, 6 runs against in game 1, not awesome. 1 run in game 2, 2 runs in the finale. Fantastic. Tarik Skubal, 5 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. He has a 2.48 ERA on the year. Shout out Oakland County. He is the Cy Young winner, and there's nobody else. Nobody else is in consideration. This is not a oh well. What about like Class A, best reliever in baseball? I know when he enters a game, no one's going to score. Not disrespect to Class A. People don't think that these opinions can coexist. Class A is fantastic. Tarik Skubal is the Cy Young of the league. And like I guess in a perfect world, if you want to be super overly critical, you can be like, oh, well, like we wanted him to go 6 innings or 7 innings, right? But like you have an off day on Friday and another one on Monday. You can afford to kind of empty the clip a little bit on your bullpen. And they still didn't really and still held on. We'll talk about that here in a second. This was is this the biggest game Tarik Skubal's ever pitched in his career? Probably. He went 5 innings of 1-run ball. Not bad. Changeup got hit around early, and that's the other thing. He struggled there in the first. Made an adjustment, just said, okay, you are all clearly sitting changeup. I'm just going to throw pretty much only fastballs the rest of the way. And he mowed down this Royals lineup. Completely dismantled them after the first inning. Unbelievable. The big scream after he gets the Salvador Perez strikeout to end his outing. That's aura. That's a little bit of magic right there, man. That's fantastic. And then the bullpen continues to be the star of the show. I'm going to keep driving this point home because I really want to make sure that all these dudes that a lot of the fan base didn't even know about, hadn't even heard of, or that at a minimum we knew about but didn't expect to be in the Tigers bullpen at any point this year, are throwing high leverage, incredible innings and throwing shutout ball in them. So I'm going to keep pounding the drum that is the Detroit Tigers bullpen because my goodness, does that entire arm barn deserve it? We'll go over some of the individuals that stood out in this ball game right after this. Got to talk to you today about our new friends over at Arena Club. For most of us that like collecting cards, like myself, very much so, the idea of spending $2,000 or more on a Luka rookie card or a Ellie De La Cruz, Patrick Mahomes, right? It just isn't in the cards. I love collecting, but that's some serious money to drop. And thanks to slab packs from arenaclub.com, now it's possible to score gem mints for a fraction of their retail price. Every card that I listed was a hit from last week's Arena Club slab pack drop. Arena Club is the only repack that provides real value, a complete view of all possible cards, and clear hit rates for each one. Arena Club slab packs are revolutionizing the repack game with transparency. After your pulls are revealed, they'll immediately be placed in your showroom for safekeeping, selling, trading, or auctioning. The Arena Club grading process is accurate, fast, and transparent with a full grade rationale provided and explained of how your card was scored. Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the card collecting platform you have to check out. Right now, you can get 10% off your first slab pack or card purchase by joining arenaclub.com/LockedOnMLB and using code LockedOnMLB. That's arenaclub.com/LockedOnMLB, code LockedOnMLB for 10% off of your first purchase. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will, of course, be back tomorrow for a Friday episode as we preview, the massive weekend that awaits the Detroit Tigers back home at Comerica Park, and obviously talking about what may or may not have happened in Cleveland. Also, be sure to check out Jake Riepma of Locked On Tigers postcast. So the Detroit Tigers win 4-2. We talked about Tarik Skubal, the Cy Young of the American League, soon to be here in a few weeks. That will be announced assuredly. And then in the bullpen, you had another fantastic outing from the Tigers arm barn. You had Hannafy go 2+ innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, and 3 strikeouts. His ERA on the season is now 2.16. 2.16 ERA. And honestly, that play, the outfielders just stared. Well, it was third base and shortstop, actually. It was McKinstry and Sweeney. Just stared at each other, right? That even that run that he gave up shouldn't have even happened. That should have been caught. He has been incredible so far, along with a laundry list of other guys that have been incredible in this bullpen since getting the call. This is multiple innings. He pitched in 3 different innings for the Detroit Tigers in this game, and he probably could have kept going if that mistake in left field doesn't happen. Then you have Sean Gunther, who is the unsung hero of this game, the star of the show. I cannot stress that enough. This dude comes into the ball game with a man on, no outs after an error just cost the Tigers a run, stops the threat, gets a double play immediately, ends the inning 2 batters later, then comes out for the 9th and gets the first batter out in the 9th inning. Obviously, Spencer Torkelson, fantastic play over at first base as well to make that happen. Gunther was the key bridge pitcher in this game. Huge performance. Very, very gutsy. And then Will Vest just pumping absolute gas there to end the ball game. Closes the door. Continues to be fantastic as long as he's not inheriting runners. And I think the biggest thing that I noticed in this game that can really be translated across this entire series was double plays. This bullpen and this pitching staff in general just figured out how to get the Royals to ground out everything. Everything was a double play whenever they needed one. In this 3-game set, I'm not kidding. Every single time I thought, wow, a double play would be real nice here. It happened. Every time. This game included. And that's a credit to Feder and the pitching strategy, the strategy that the coaching staff came up with to attack this lineup, and then obviously the pitchers and catchers for executing said game plan. But in this game, it was the one after the mishap in left field, right? You've given up a run. It's now only a 2-run game, and there's a man on, no outs. To get a double play there and just completely eradicate the threat is so massive for momentum. And obviously just for the race to 27 outs. Unbelievable stuff. Offensively, Tigers score 4 runs. Riley Greene with another absolute tank. in this ball game. He's on fire. That is beautiful. We need that down the stretch here. If they're serious about clearly they're very serious about making a push. That's horrible wording and not what I should say. 2 weeks ago, I might have said that. Now, there is no, if they are clearly serious about making a run. They are in the thick of it. Golly. Is that not awesome to say? I like every 5 seconds goes by and I just think in my head, I'm like, wow, the Tigers are playing meaningful baseball in the middle of September. And I just get uncontrollably happy. Spencer Torkelson does not get a hit in this game, but does record 3 walks, which I think was great to see. Obviously, the strikeout in the ninth was kind of brutal, but 3 walks is good. Seeing the ball well there. Not afraid to take his walks. That's something that way back in the spring, we talked about wanting to see more out of him. We want to see more walks from him in 2024. Clearly, this was a wild year that I don't think anyone expected out of Torkelson, but really nice to see him get on base that often, especially with the start of the Royals throughout there. Dude just could not find the strike zone with anything that wasn't his curveball. So they just let him walk them around the bases, and it worked out. And then obviously Torkelson with the huge diving play in the ninth. That is big boy baseball right there. That is a massive play. And I have ragged on this dude's defense since he was a rookie, and he deserves so much credit. So much credit for that play. Continues to be really good at scooping. That's always been a thing. He's athletic, and he has the ability to be a good defensive first baseman. He has been significantly better defensively at first. Not a gold glove or anything, but better than he was since getting recalled from AAA. And that play was a really, really big moment in this season. Huge play. So tip of the cap to Torkelson. Trey Sweeney with a big hit in this one as well. And then Jake Rogers, I thought, called a magnificent ball game behind the plate. Really sound defensively as usual. And also had 2 hits. One of those was like a swinging bunt where there was a huge crash over there at first base. And he gets up and smiles. He looks like a bulldog. And when he runs, especially. And that is a man that I would not want to be in front of when he is running at full speed. He's not the fastest dude on the team, even close, right? Parker Meadows exists, but golly, that is just like I said, that is a bulldog running full steam ahead at you. And it scored a run, which ended up being obviously a huge run in this ball game. What went wrong? Not too terribly much, except for 2 moments. One, we've already alluded to it. The Bobby Witt Jr. double that led to a run in the moment was devastating. That was huge. Right. And again, Sean Gunther comes out and just guts of steel, we'll say, just gets the double play and completely snuffs out the threat. But in the moment, you're up 3. You have a stupid play like that. Get one of the fastest dudes in baseball at second base. And then he scores, 2 pitches later or whatever. And you got a man on. And it's just like, oh, my goodness, we're going to unravel. Like, this is it. They're going to completely unravel. Thankfully not, but that is a play that cannot happen consistently, obviously, okay? And then really the only other Achilles heel of the Tigers in this game for the second game in a row was clutch hitting. They went 2 for 14 with runners in scoring position. You cannot let this become a habit. I know we're all having fun, and I'm having fun, and we'll move on and we won't dwell on this, but you have to hit better with the runners in scoring position if you want to do well here in these last 9 games. This will not last. But a great point was brought out there in X or Twitter, whatever it's called, by Tony Paul of the Detroit News. Okay, Tony Paul rocks, by the way. And he tweeted, whatever, out on Wednesday, and he was like, this doesn't have to be sustainable, though, right? I'm coming on here and I'm like, yeah, they got to hit better with running scoring position. They're not going to sustain whatever. It's 9 games. You got 9 games left. You're half a game out. If the Guardians win again on Friday, you're tied. You're tied with the Twins with 9 games left. This doesn't have to be a sustainable methodology. You just have to find a way to win every time you go out there for the next week and a half and see what happens. And you'll worry about sustainability in the winter and in next spring. We're not talking about a marathon anymore. We're talking about a sprint. Find ways to win. So 2-14, be darned. Who cares? They continued to find a way to win. And that is all that matters. Let's talk stuff. We'll do that right after this. Got to talk to you today about our friends over at FanDuel. You've heard us talk about FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, quite a lot here on Locked On Tigers. Well, today we have something a little different for you because now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel any time. Just visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate you all for tuning in. As always, let's talk stuff. This could probably go in what went right as well, but that Jace Young slide was ridiculous. That was absurd. That is one of the better catchers of a generation there. And you just completely, I don't even know what to call that. It wasn't a hook slide. It was feet first, but he kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what to call that. Jackknife? Like, I don't know. I don't know. That sounds more like a swim dive than it does a baseball slide, but it was unbelievable. And then him getting all riled up and getting fired up and screaming to the boys on the bench was pretty sweet, man. Just this is so fun to watch. This is so fun to watch. It's awesome. This is the best. This is what we have all been waiting for almost a decade. This is the coolest thing ever. I can't get over it. I don't know how we got here. I mean, we got here by being the best team in baseball somehow after selling at the deadline. Like this is unexplainable and incredible. I know I just go off on these tangents like every 3 minutes, but I can't believe we're having this conversation right now. Genuinely, I don't believe it. I'm waiting to wake up. Colt Keith. Shoulder injury update. Sounds like good news. He took fielding drills, did a couple other drills out on the field, worked with the trainers and the coaching staff before this game, did not play. However, said he felt a lot better, said that everybody was pretty encouraged by how the drills all went, and he only expects to be out a couple of days. So 2 thumbs up there. That's obviously fantastic news. Really, that's it for this ball game specifically. I do want to give a ton of credit to Andy Dirks and Alex Avila, who have taken over a lot of the TV side of the broadcast here. Just so good at their jobs. And like Benetti is one of the best in the entire business, right? That's common knowledge. There's a reason he, isn't here on Saturdays and goes and does national games and whatnot. He's one of the best in the business right now. So that goes without saying almost, but Andy Dirks and Alex Avila, I think, have both been so fantastic. And it's just, I'm not here to talk about what the booth used to be or anything like that, right? You know what I mean? Like everybody has their own opinion. I don't need to like talk about somebody or a booth as a whole and like what it used to be and whatnot, but just it's so awesome having an elite top tier booth while the team is playing so well. It's so like, that's what my childhood was, right? It was Mario and Rod in the booth and, or obviously Dickerson and Price, rest in peace, on the radio. And then it was really good Tigers baseball for most of my childhood. And like the fact that we have a really, really, really good booth and a team that is playing really, really good baseball. That's bless you boys stuff. That's, they're the boys of summer again for the first time in a very long time. Just wanted to give them some credit. We'll end with this. You are in the thick of this, like for real, right? And I know everybody's well aware of that at this point, but this is no longer the story of a run that, they may flame out or something like that. This is 9 games left, and you're in the pool of teams legitimately fighting for a spot. Baltimore has the first wild card. The Tigers are 4.5 back at the time of this recording from the Orioles. They're 2 back from the Royals. They're half a game back from the Twins, and they're 2 games up from the Mariners, who currently, as I'm recording this, are in the middle of playing the Yankees. I haven't looked at the score. I don't know what that is. So that could change by half a game either way. Of those teams, Baltimore is 2-8 in their last 10. The Royals are 4-6 and just got swept at home. You're welcome. The Twins are 4-6 and just lost 2 of 3 to Cleveland and still have another game against Cleveland in Cleveland today. And the Mariners have elite pitching and absolutely zero offense and are like around 500, really, no matter what time frame you look at throughout the season. The Tigers are 8-2 in their last 10, pitching their guts out, and just swept the Royals on the road. It's all ahead of you. It's all ahead of you. It's all on the table. The stage is entirely yours. And the reason I bring up all those teams is not because I'm trying to get ahead of myself. I promise. Like, it's just to showcase that anything is on the table, right? You don't own the tiebreaker, right? And you aren't in if the season ended today. Again, want to reiterate that. But with 9 games left, more than just like, oh, we only have to focus on Minnesota is happening here at this point. That's how in the thick of this you are. You're in the heart of 4 or 5 teams all fighting for playoff spots here. Not getting ahead of myself, just articulating you are actually a real part of September baseball. You're a real legitimate part of it nationally. You're a part of it. All the I'm in like group chats with people from other fan bases, and they're all talking about the Tigers game and how the Twins lost, and like, oh, that means that like everyone that watches that's been us for the last 8 years, the outside looking in, watching all these fun, September baseball playoff games, playoff-esque games as they come down to the wire, who's going to make it, who's not. That's you now. The national media is talking about the Detroit Tigers, and that is beautiful. This is awesome. You got an off day today on Thursday. Cleveland versus Minnesota is in Cleveland, 1:10 p.m. Eastern time is the game. The pitching matchup, look, we're doing a preview for a different game. The pitching matchup is, I believe the Twins are throwing out Woods Richardson, and the Guardians are throwing out Cantillo. So there you go. Could be tied for the wild card spot. And you have a 3-game series against the Orioles this weekend. And then after that, another off day Monday. And then you're home for the last 6 games against the Rays and one of the worst teams, maybe the worst team in the history of baseball. This has been so incredible. I feel like there probably wasn't as much like baseball analysis in this one, and I apologize for that. But I am just, again, I'm a fan first. This team has been my life since before I could walk. I don't remember my first Tigers game. I don't really have an earliest baseball memory. It's just something that's always been there. And this is just so awesome. Let's not make it end. Hey, keep the train rolling, boys. We'll have an episode tomorrow. We'll preview the weekend. We'll talk a little bit about, the rest of the way, some other news surrounding the organization and whatnot, and get you all prepped for that series in Baltimore. All right. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We will be back tomorrow. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all then, baby. Go Tigers.